What is going on all? It's Hadex Gaming here, and today I'll be running you through the Ruby Dragon build for Endgame. This is quite possibly the strongest summon build you will play in Necesse. So with this build, you'll get 5 Ruby Dragons, each of which deal 288 damage with a 45% chance for them to critical hit. This adds up to be about 2000 damage per second on a training dummy, but this will fluctuate higher and lower depending on the moving target. Not only do you get massive damage, you also get 156 total armor and 415 resilience that auto regenerates to tank hits for you and act as an overshield, but you also get a protective summon that will block projectiles. This set is a perfect mix of offense and defense. Then to top it all off, you get an additional 5 extra summons that deal insane damage, coming in at 3200 plus damage per second. This is everybody's favorite, the Stabby Bush. Combining that with everything, you get a build that gives over 5000 damage per second, a ton of armor, and extra projectile protection. So what's the catch? Well, summoners can't naturally obtain resilience with summons. So to gain it, we used the Aged Champion Scabbard, which passively regens resilience, but upon being hit, you will lose all of it. As a summoner, it is your job to avoid getting hit and let the summons do the work. This means it's a high risk, high reward playstyle, and by getting the passive resilience, it means you can every now and then tank a hit with no HP loss if you mess up. On easier difficulties, this isn't too much of a problem, but on higher difficulties, 2 to 3 hits consecutively will get you killed. Later in the video, I show you how useful this build is, and I defeat the hardest boss in the game. That is the Sun Champion on brutal difficulty in a tier 5 incursion, where the boss has 125% more HP and deals an additional 75% more damage on top of the brutal mode modifiers. So let's jump straight into the build and how it all comes together. Starting off with the armor and the reason as to why this build works, you will need the tier 5 Ruby Crown Helmet, a tier 5 Crystal Chestplate, and a tier 5 Crystal Boots. So you need the full Crystal Armor set and the Ruby Crown Helmet for the set bonus. It is also critical that they are upgraded to tier 5, as when enchanted, their enchantment boost is doubled. With this set, you not only have your Crystal Armor turn red, but the set bonus says for every 100 max resilience, you get 1 extra summon. This is very important as each extra summon effectively doubles your base damage. For example, if you take 1 summon that does 100 damage and get your armor to give you 100% extra damage, it would only do 200 damage total. Or you could get 5 summons and you could be doing 500 damage. In most cases, more minions is equal to more damage, and this armor set will give you 1 extra summon, some passive resilience regen, and 50 resilience to start the build off with. So with that being said, let's jump into what trinkets you'll need to fully utilize this build to maximize the summons and resilience. Starting off, your active trinket is up to you, but I go with the kinetic boots for extra movement speed. Then for the regular trinkets, you'll want the summon foci, as this gives summons 20% extra damage. Next, you will want the Hysteria tablet for 2 extra summons and 30% summon speed, and then you will want a scrying mirror for an additional 1 summon. So all of this brings you up to a total of 5 summons already. Following that, you'll want a bone hilt trinket for 20 armor penetration. This ensures that your summons hit through enemy defenses and will just boost your DPS. And then for the last few trinkets, we lean into gaining resilience. The Clockwork Heart will turn half your health into resilience. This means if you have 300 HP, you'll end up with 150 HP and 150 resilience. This will then give you a total of 200 resilience if you add the effects from the armor. And then if you remember the set bonus, every 100 resilience is an extra summon, so we are now up to a total of 7 summons. Next, we will want the Manica, which increases our resilience by 50, bringing us up to 250 resilience, but we also now get an extra 50% resilience gain, which is useful for the next and final trinket. This is what I mentioned earlier, the Aged Champion Scabbard, which allows us to passively regenerate resilience, but it also causes us to lose it when we get hit. So having increased resilience regen means we get resilience faster, which means we can take hits more often if needed. So with the armor and trinkets out of the way, we need to enchant our gear. The best way to do this is to enchant every single piece of armor and trinket with the tough enchantment. This gives us plus 10 max resilience on our trinkets and plus 20 on each armor piece. This adds up to be an extra 140 resilience, giving us a total of 8 summons and bringing us up to 390 resilience just 10 resilience away from obtaining another summon. Now, the only way to obtain more resilience is by utilizing the Clockwork Heart's ability where half our HP gets turned into resilience. This means by eating food to give us an increase to our max HP will also give us resilience. As an example, eating a piece of bread will give us 20 HP, so you would split that and we would get 10 extra HP and 10 extra resilience, giving us 400. But bread isn't the ideal food for this build. The ideal food buff we would want is from sushi. Sushi will give us 10% damage, 15 attack speed, which for summoners just means it's the rate we summon our minions, and 50 HP. This now means we have 175 max health, 415 resilience, so 4 extra summons, giving us a total of 9 summons. Although, with the sushi buff, if you did want to min-max, you could swap out one tough enchantment on a trinket for Necesse for an extra 4% resilience gain, which means we would have a total of 405 max resilience, but I prefer to keep all my enchants the same, and I do prefer that little bit more resilience. Next, we'll get into all the other buffs and the miscellaneous buffs, starting with the easy ones. You'll want 4 banner flags: the banner of defense for negative 10% damage taken, banner of power for 15% extra damage, banner of speed for 20% speed, and a banner of summon speed for 75% extra summon speed. Following the banners are the potions, and at this point you should be utilizing the following: superior health potions if you need a heal for an instant 100 HP, greater accuracy for 20% extra critical hit chance, greater attack speed for 30% increased attack speed, greater battle potion for 15% increased damage, greater resistance potion for an additional 12 points of armor, greater speed potion for 30% increased movement speed, and then finally you'll want a thorns and a web potion for thorns damage and slowed movement. Finally, this last buff is essential. This is a minion potion. This will put you at a total of 10 minions, which is extremely important. And the reason that it is so important is because our weapon of choice is the crystallized skull with the athletic enchant for 20% summon target range and 25% summon speed. This summon works a little different to the other summons as it summons dragons, but 1 dragon is equal to 2 summon slots. So 9 summons would only get you 4 dragons and 1 extra minion slot, but 10 summons will get you 5 dragons. And these things do a ton of damage, so maximizing the quantity is essential. Next up, we want to utilize it with an athletic stabby bush for 5 extra passive summons to just place out and have them act as proximity mines. They will only attack if the enemy passes over them, but they pack a hefty punch and will explode after a certain amount of time, so they will need to be resummoned from time to time. Then you'll want to pair them with the ruby shields, enchanted with savage for 15% damage and 10% summon speed. This summon will spawn 6 rotating shields around you, which will block projectiles and do impact damage. So try to keep all 6 up at all times. It is also important to note that all of this should be upgraded to tier 5 to obtain the max amount of damage and boost any buffs and enchants placed on them. So quickly, I'm just going to throw up on screen the full armor set, trinkets, buffs, and weapons for this build. Then to test it out, here's a fight against the tier 5 Sun Champion on brutal mode. Also just note that I took 1 hit from him, which takes out all of my resilience due to the trinket, but a second hit deals about 120-ish HP, which almost kills me in 1 hit. So that's it. I hope you liked it. And as always, if you know any other ways to make this set better, let me know down in the comments. But like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And I hope you all have a great time zone. So that means good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever you may be. And I hope to see you next time.